Karen tried to tear down my daughter's treehouse, turns out. We're outside her jurisdiction. My name is David Latimer, and all I ever wanted was to give my daughter a piece of magic. After my wife passed away last spring, everything about our house felt heavier, colder, except for that one old oak tree in the backyard. My daughter Hazel loved it, said it looked like something out of a fairy tale. So one Saturday in June, I started building a treehouse. Not a sloppy plywood box, a real one. Insulated, safe, with windows and a tiny reading nook. I poured my grief and hope into that build. It wasn't just wooden screws, it was healing. What I didn't know was that Karen Whitmore, president of the so-called Millbrook HOA, considered it an eyesore, and she would stop at nothing to bring it down. I live on Amberwood Lane, which runs right alongside Millbrook Ridge but isn't part of it. The legal boundary ends at the creek before my yard starts. My house was built before the development even existed. But Karen didn't care about lines, only rules. Rules she invented. She first appeared with a clipboard and a condescending smile. "I'm issuing a pre-citation for non-compliant elevated structures," she said, "per Millbrook HOA Code 4.6.2. I blinked. "We're not in the HOA. She smiled tighter. "All properties within visual radius are subject to passive community standards. We call it the reflection clause." I laughed. "That's not real." "Oh, it will be," she muttered, and walked off. 3 days later, I found a laminated notice zip-tied to my fence post. "Unauthorized construction in view of governed community. Cease building immediately. Millbrook HOA Enforcement Division." I tore it down. The next afternoon, I was helping Hazel hang curtains in the treehouse when red and blue lights flashed across our backyard. Police. 2 officers stood with Karen on the lawn. She pointed at the treehouse, then at me, then held up her phone as if she'd caught a terrorist in the act. I climbed down. "Can I help you?" "Officers." One looked apologetic. "We got a complaint of unauthorized construction, possibly unsafe conditions for a minor." Karen interrupted. "And code violations. The structure violates height and setback regulations per HOA guidelines." "We're not in the HOA," I said, already tired. The younger officer turned to Karen. "Ma'am, can you show us where your HOA jurisdiction ends?" She blinked. "It doesn't end, it expands. The homeowners voted to extend community influence to surrounding properties." The older officer rubbed his temple. "That's not how law works." I showed them my deed, boundary map, and county permit. Everything was legit. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. The officers left. I thought it was over. It wasn't. 2 days later, I came home to find hazard tape wrapped around the base of the treehouse ladder. A sign dangled from the rail structure condemned by community review. My daughter cried. That's when I got angry. I dug into the Millbrook HOA. Turns out, Karen had never filed a formal HOA charter. The board consisted of her husband and her sister-in-law. All her rules were self-written, unenforceable, and spread through fake fines and intimidation. Worse, she'd targeted at least 5 other families near the edge of the real HOA, tricking them into believing they had no rights. So I fought back. I created a website, Fake HOA, org, documenting her letters, flyers, and citations. I posted footage of her taping signs to mailboxes, screaming at kids, calling police over lawn gnomes. Then I posted the body cam footage from the day she called 911 on my treehouse. It exploded. Local news picked it up. Father builds treehouse, HOA Karen calls, cops. But they're not even in her neighborhood. The outrage was massive. People shared their stories. Reporters investigated. The county zoning office issued a formal cease and desist to Karen for impersonating municipal authority. She was fined $12,000 in order to take down every sign, every fake citation. Even the real HOA of Millbrook Ridge released a statement saying she had never represented them in any official capacity. Karen went silent. Then she vanished. Her house sold 2 months later to a family with 3 kids and a trampoline. We helped them set it up. Hazel's treehouse still stands sturdier than ever. A symbol. This spring, I added solar-powered lights, At night, it glows like a beacon, not just of childhood, but of freedom. Sometimes the smallest structure can hold the biggest fight, and sometimes justice looks like a treehouse with a view. The end.